In most workplaces, the person holding everything together is also the person nobody sees. She fixes the crisis at 9 p.m. She remembers what everyone forgot. She says yes when yes costs her everything. And the system doesn't reward her. It uses her. Because dependability in the wrong hands isn't an asset. It's a vulnerability. This is the story of how hard work became a trap, and how the wrong kind of competence made someone completely disposable. Her name was Emma. On paper, she was exactly what companies say they want. Strategic thinker, detail-oriented, high performer, the kind of employee who turns chaos into clarity while everyone else is still reading the email. She worked in project management at a mid-sized firm. Not prestigious, not toxic, just normal. The kind of office where people smile in meetings and panic in Slack. And Emma was good at her job. Really good. When a client changed requirements 2 days before launch, Emma rebuilt the timeline. When a team member disappeared during a sprint, Emma absorbed the work. When leadership needed someone to fix a disaster quietly, they came to Emma. She didn't mind. Not at first. Because she believed in something most high performers believe, that excellence creates its own gravity. That if you're undeniable, you become unavoidable. That the system notices. But here's what Emma didn't know yet. The system wasn't measuring excellence. It was measuring convenience. There's a concept in organizational psychology called dependability punishment. It's simple. The more reliable you are, the more you're relied upon. The more you're relied upon, the more invisible you become. Because reliability, by definition, doesn't create noise. It creates silence. You don't get praised for preventing a disaster. You get blamed when you don't. And once the system learns you'll catch what others drop, it stops asking. It just assumes. Emma had become structurally essential and socially invisible at the same time. But there was someone else in her office. Someone who understood a completely different game. Daniel joined the team 6 months after Emma. He wasn't incompetent. That's important. He wasn't lazy or careless or stupid. He was just different. Where Emma worked late, Daniel left at 5:30. Where Emma sent detailed recaps, Daniel sent optimistic summaries. Where Emma solved problems quietly, Daniel mentioned solutions loudly. In meetings, Emma presented data. Daniel told stories. And here's the part that made it worse. People liked Daniel. He remembered birthdays. He asked about weekends. He made small talk feel effortless. He had lunch with managers. He laughed at the right jokes. Daniel wasn't manipulative. He was socially intelligent. And in workplaces, social intelligence looks like leadership. Emma started noticing something. When she finished a report, her manager said, "Thanks." When Daniel contributed one slide, her manager said, "Great initiative." When she flagged a risk, it was cataloged. When Daniel flagged a risk, it was discussed. She was doing more, but he was being seen more. This is where we need to talk about visibility economics. In modern workplaces, impact and perception of impact are not the same thing. Actual work is often done alone, invisible until it's missing, hard to quantify, assumed to be easy if done well. Perceived work is social, visible in meetings, easy to narrate, tied to a face, a voice, a presence. Emma's work was structurally invisible. Daniel's work was socially legible. And organizations, especially large ones, don't run on accuracy. They run on narrative convenience. It's easier to promote someone everyone already remembers than to discover someone nobody noticed. Emma wasn't being ignored because she was doing bad work. She was being ignored because she was doing quiet work. Then the workload increased. A major client expanded their contract. The team was understaffed. Timelines tightened. Emma's manager pulled her aside. "I know I can count on you," he said. "You're the only one who really gets the full picture." It sounded like a compliment. It was a transaction. Emma took on 2 additional projects. Then 3. She started working weekends. She stopped going to the gym. Stopped answering texts. Stopped sleeping well. Meanwhile, Daniel was assigned one new project. A high visibility one. A rebrand campaign with executive attention. He didn't have to manage the details. A junior designer handled that. Daniel just had to present it. And he did. Beautifully. He used phrases like our strategic pivot and stakeholder alignment. He smiled. He made eye contact. He thanked the team. The executives loved it. Emma watched from her desk. 3 hours deep into a financial reconciliation nobody would ever praise. What Emma was experiencing is called competence invisibility. The better you are at something, the easier it looks. The easier it looks, the less credit you get. And here's the trap. If you're too good at fixing things, people stop seeing you as talented. They see you as functional. Like plumbing. You're only noticed when something breaks. Daniel, on the other hand, was practicing something else entirely. Strategic incompleteness. He never became the person who handled everything. He stayed just capable enough to be useful and just detached enough to be optional. That optionality gave him leverage. Emma's competence gave her burden. 6 months later, a senior role opened up. Emma had been there for years. She knew every client, every workflow, every legacy, disaster holding the department together. Daniel had been there 18 months. The job description could have been written about Emma's actual day-to-day work. But during the interview, something shifted. Emma talked about systems, about process improvements, about risk mitigation. Daniel talked about vision, about people, about where the company was going. Emma sounded like a manager. Daniel sounded like a leader. 3 weeks later, Daniel got the job. Emma's manager called her in. "You're too valuable where you are," he said. "We can't afford to move you." Let that sentence sit for a moment. Too valuable to promote. She had become so essential to the machinery that she'd been structurally locked inside it. Her competence had made her unpromotable. This is the part nobody talks about. Workplaces don't reward the person doing the most work. They reward the person creating the most clarity for decision makers. And clarity isn't about accuracy. It's about confidence, simplicity, narrative. Daniel didn't know more than Emma, but he made leadership feel smarter. Emma made leadership dependent. Dependence creates resentment, even if it's unconscious, because nobody wants to admit they need someone, especially if that someone is quiet, non-political, and never asks for anything. It's psychologically easier to promote someone you like than someone you need. Emma didn't quit. Not right away. But something changed. She stopped saying yes automatically. She started delegating. She stopped fixing other people's mistakes silently. And the reaction was immediate. Her manager seemed annoyed. "Is everything okay?" he asked. "You seem disconnected." She wasn't disconnected. She was boundaried, but to a system that had been feeding on her reliability. A boundary looked like betrayal. Emma realized something she'd never let herself think before. She hadn't been valued. She'd been convenient. And the moment she stopped being convenient, the warmth disappeared. Daniel, meanwhile, was thriving. He had a new title, a bigger team, more visibility. He wasn't a villain. He didn't sabotage Emma. He just understood something she didn't. That performance and perception of performance are two entirely different games, and only one of them gets rewarded. This isn't a story about good people and bad people. It's a story about systems. And the uncomfortable truth is this. Most workplaces are not designed to reward the person carrying the most weight. They're designed to reward the person most visible while carrying weight. Dependability without boundaries becomes exploitation. Competence without voice becomes invisibility. And hard work without strategy becomes a trap. Emma wasn't wrong to work hard. She was wrong to believe the system would notice, because the system doesn't see effort. It sees optics. And once you understand that, you can't unsee it.